So I think it is being recorded now. Yeah. So she discovered, she found out that rate of decrease of number of microorganisms is directly proportional with exposure time or disinfection time. She sorry, I will is actually is proportional to number of microorganisms initially present. So if we rearrange, we can write this expression something like this: is equal to Kn, or we can also write like this. Here is negative, or we can change negative here. If we integrate this expression, if we integrate it from 0 time to t, when microorganism number was n naught at any time t is n, if we integrate it, we will get ln n or log n naught n is equal to minus kt 0 to t, or ln n naught minus ln n is equal to minus k 0 to t.
सर n minus n naught होगा log
Microorganism is directly proportional with the number of microorganism. Sorry. So this is the relation, huh? And then when we solve this problem, we can, solve this, integrate this, we can come up with this expression. When the concentration of disinfectant, means the chemical we are using or disinfectant we are using, is present enough, is not influencing in anything in this case. But if concentration of disinfectant is also limiting, then we have to consider the Watson law. Watson law proposed Ct is equal to constant for given percentage of inactivation, and if we combine both of them, we can arrive on this Chick-Watson law we discussed in the last class. So rate of change of number of microorganisms is anyway proportional to number of microorganisms present here, if you see here, and this KCW is actually coefficient of specific lethality, and the concentration, if it is constant, for example, then see this will be constant then. So if it is changing, the KCW will be changed. So most of the time, if we consider here n is 1, so we can make this equation into this form, which is very similar to Chick equation. Consider if C is constant, then this factor will be constant. So we can treat it as K. But if C is changing, we can also incorporate the Watson law. So this law is very better than Chick's law. And we solved this problem using this equation in last class. This problem is solved, and we found the coefficient of specific lethality using this data given here. We found this value here. Okay, this Chick law, which is pseudo first order law, means inactivation has linear relationship with time. This is most common form of the model we use for disinfection, to use it for disinfection data. For example, if we are using trichlorine to kill E. coli or poliovirus, this model is valid. Or if we are using ozone for poliovirus, E. coli, Cardia lamblia, and C. pravium, then this law is valid. Or if we are using the UV to inactivate C. pravium, MS2 kill, this is virus less than 4 log, and Cardia lamblia to inactivate less than 3 log, then we can use this this model, Chick-Watson law or Chick's law. But sometimes we have different deviation from the Chick-Watson law. You see the rate of disinfection accelerate. So with the time, its shape is like this. It is not linear equation, but it's more than linear. I mean, it has this shape. It is because of different reason. Disinfectant react with more than one critical site in microorganism. So to disinfect not one site, but it attack more than one site. And disinfectant take some time to diffuse to critical size, and into some critical size, it takes some time. So initially you don't see any change or in disinfection, but as time goes by, then you see increased accelerated rate. Examples are combined chlorine. Combined chlorine means chlorine which is combined with ammonia. This you can see if you are using combined chlorine, then you can see this pattern, this shape for most of microorganisms at low inactivation. Or if you are using any disinfection, but there are some suspension of aggregated virus particles of multicellular organism are present, means they are just microorganism or clump like this, especially virus. Or if you are using chlorine dioxide, then C. pravium or some endospores to disinfect this thing, endospore or C. pravium, you will see this shape. This is called accelerated rate shape. Another deviation is this case, C, when you see some deacceleration. So initially you have way higher phase. This one is linear, but now shape is like this. The reason are because of when you use some disinfection, the germicidal properties of disinfection agent decrease with time. It is if you are using some chemical with time, the chemical loses its efficiency. Or microorganism have some resistance with increasing exposure time. Microorganisms show some resistance, and there are some more reason. So examples are if you are using combined chlorine. So most of microorganism at high removal, you will find this kind of shape. Or if you are using UV, then total coliform in secondary effluent, particularly Cardia lamblia above 3 log removal, you will see this shape, deviation from this standard pseudo first order reaction. So to explain this this model or this behavior, there are some more models. For example, for accelerating rate, Reniker-Marinas model is presented. The two scientists, they present their model. They said that some microorganism do not exhibit significant inactivation until certain CT values has been exceeded. So this log n or n naught is 0 until the CT value is less than or is greater than or equal to some specific value. And this happens, then we see inactivation. So it explains this. So until certain value, CT value, there is no disinfection. After then, this disinfection occurs. So they have this. They propose this model log, which has log of some value b. Another model which explains de-accelerating rate is proposed by Colin Selleck, two scientists. They said that inactivation of coliform organism in domestic wastewater using free and combined chlorine, this case occurs. So disinfection is 0 until a CT value is less than B, or disinfection has some value and CT value is more than B. And they introduce also their Colin-Selleck coefficient of specific lethality. So this model also explain this shape of curve. And there is another model we call Holm-Haas model. Two scientists also they presented this empirical model, not based on any theoretical background, was based on experiment, and they propose this. This is very similar to Cheek-Watson law, but here there are some empirical constant here, n and m, and this constant is Dioff constant, kappa. This is very better than even Cheek-Watson model, but it is based on experiment. So there are some models, Cheek-Watson model and Renneker-Marinus model and Colin-Selleck model and Holm-Haas model. So please read this relevant section of the book, Water Treatment Principle and Design, the big book, and solve 13-2 and 13-3. Example 13-3 and 2 and 3. The 13-1 we have already solved. This one was 13-1, which is Cheek-Watson model. So please solve now yourself at home 13-2 and 13-3. Please solve example in your book. Please just go through. Okay, temperature also play an important role in activation. Temperature is increasing, then disinfection will be more. And this influence of temperature can be explained, can be incorporated in rate of reaction using Arrhenius type of equation. This one. This K, instead of K, we can use here coefficient of specific lethality or other value of K which are present, either this one or this one or this one here. So it influences the rate of reaction, and if we can use this appropriate value of this constant at some temperature other than the standard temperature, and we can find this value of K, this constant, which can be coefficient of specific lethality or some other constant in other model, and another temperature using this equation, where theta can be found using this relation. Here EA is energy of activation, as you know already. Anyway, as you have got feeling that these models are a bit complex. When you go more in detail, the complexity of this model increase. So very difficult to predict what will be the disinfection after some time. What will be the how many microorganisms will be killed? It's not that easy. So US EPA has adopted another easy way of setting the regulation. They call it CT table, concentration time table. So to achieve certain disinfection, they say that you have to have certain concentration and time CT value. Concentration of disinfectant and time of exposure. This is very consistent with the most of the model which I discussed earlier also. So it's easier way and also consistent with models. So if you have semi-log plot of survival versus CT, then it follows the Parcel model and Renniker-Marinus model. So I will introduce you this. Anyway, for all of the cases which models I mentioned, Colin Select model and Amos model, CT value can be plotted with log n and over n naught, and we can have certain for certain removal efficiency, we know what CT value should be there. This is one of the table adopted by US EPA. So for disinfection requirement for 99% of inactivation of C. brevium, is the name of microorganism, we need, if we are using combined chlorine, then CT value should be 10,000. For same microorganism, if you want to use free chlorine, the CT value should be somewhere 2,000 to 4,000. Let's see some other. For inactivation of coliform, 99% inactivation of coliform. If you are using combined chlorine, you need CT value somewhere like 110. Sorry. So for E. coliform or E. coli, if you are using disinfectant combined chlorine for 99% inactivation, the concentration and time product should be about 110. But if you are inactivating or disinfecting E. coli using free chlorine, then CT values should be somewhere 1. It is same for chlorine dioxide, same value around. But if you're using ozone, then for disinfecting 99% of E. coli, the CT value should be 0.01. In case of UV light, if you want to disinfect E. coli, then we cannot use CT value because there is no concentration of disinfectant. Instead, we use IT value. IT, intensity, time exposure, and time of exposure should be 10. So using this kind of CT charts, you can easily get, for given percentage of inactivation, what should be CT or what should be IT. So it's quite easy to apply for knowing how long you need and what concentration or disinfection we need for achieving certain degree of disinfection. Okay, so I want you to ask something. So I want you to ask something. So did you understand what I was talking about? So I unmute all of you and let you ask question. Any question?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
No, sir.
No question? You understand what I talked just now? And all of you understand everything?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, let me go back to our talk before I unmute all of you. So if you are very good in using tables, using models, you use these models or this model or this model. Or if you are not in mode to use tables, then you just go to this kind of these kind of tables and then find out CD value for what degree of inactivation you need. And these tables are available in the US EPA website. Okay, disinfectant sorry, which we want to use must have certain properties, and these properties are given here 1 to 6. It must destroy the kind and number of pathogens that may be introduced into water within practicable period of time or an expected range in water temperature. So disinfectant should be able to kill numbers, not only numbers, the kind of different kind of pathogens which are present usually in water. And disinfection must meet fluctuation in composition, concentration, and condition in the water to be treated. Sometimes water has some higher concentration of microorganism, lower concentration of microorganism, or temperature is different, or turbidity is different. Some things are changing. So disinfection should be able to meet all of these fluctuation. Disinfectant which we are using must not be toxic to human, because ultimately human we will use water, or animals, domestic animal we use, should not be toxic to human or and domestic animal, nor unpalatable. Means it should not change the taste of water. The water taste become not that bad so that we feel it is not good. It should not be unpalatable, or should not be objectionable. Not only water color but also water taste and color should not be changed. Their strength and concentration in the treated water must be determined easily. So if you are using some disinfectant, you must know how much disinfectant is there and residual concentration or concentration in the tank, and you need to know it very quickly. So there should be a way so that you can just test it very quickly, most probably automatically. So you put some probe in the water, just leave it here, and that gives signal somewhere, and you can read it. That is like meter, and cost must be reasonable. It should be cheap. So disinfectant must have this property. Then none of disinfectant has it's fulfill all of this property. But anyway, majority properties which mentioned here should be fulfilled by suitable disinfectant, particularly the cost, and not only particularly cost, of course, should destroy all kind of a number of things. And also should be safe. Disinfection should be safe, easy to store, transport, handle, and apply. And the last, it should also provide reasonable residual protection against possible recontamination. You add disinfection and distribution system in a user use here before reaching to use. Microorganisms should not come in, so there should be some residual concentration remain in the distribution system of treatment. Okay, now considering the regulatory context, selection of appropriate disinfection strategy is like this. Number one, we have to provide water free from pathogen. This is our strategy. Free from coliform bacteria, heterotrophic plate counts, Cryptosporidium oocyte, Cardia oocyte. These are protozoa related to protozoa. Legionella, it produces pneumonia, and also viruses. So water should not have this. And most of them, these are indicator microorganisms. These are indicator microorganisms. Coliform microorganism is an indicator microorganism. Heterotroph plate count is indicator microorganism. Okay, I want to ask you, indicator microorganism. What is the heterotrophic plate count? What is heterotrophic plate count? What is heterotrophic plate count? Ehsan is not here.
यस सर मैं इधर ही हूँ एक्चुअली मैं अपनी आईडी से नहीं हूँ सर इस वक्त जी सर
अपनी आईडी से आपकी आईडी मुझे नजर आ रही है OPPO यूथ
जी हाँ मैं दूसरे मोबाइल से सर ऑन हुआ हूँ अभी तो मेरा काम नहीं
सर
कर रहा था मोबाइल
हेटरोट्रॉफिक प्लेट काउंट सर
ये एक तरह से जैसे एक प्लेट में जो माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म को हम काउंट करें
जी
तो
सर
कहते हैं
one by one
इस तरह से
let me talk for Marij you tell me
यस सर हेटरोट्रॉफिक प्लेट काउंट में भी ये है कि हम जो काउंट करें कि कितने नंबर ऑफ हमारे हेटरोट्रॉफिक बैक्टीरिया हैं पानी में
okay good
जी सर नंबर ऑफ पैथोजन जो होते हैं ना सर उसको काउंट करने के लिए सर किया जाता है हेटरोट्रॉफिक प्लांट काउंट सॉरी प्लेट काउंट सर
yes ये एहसान बोल रहे हैं एहसान
जी,
is talking what is heterotrophic microorganism
सर हेटरोट्रॉफिक वो होते हैं जो अपना जो खाना होता है
जैसे
वो
कि-
खुद नहीं बनाते सर
मतलब बनाते हैं यस सर
what
sir they cannot make their own food
But
yes sir they depend on other organisms sir
yes
that's
sir.
why they are we call them heterotrophic
yeah but exactly I taught something different remember I discussed with you in last class means last semester heterotrophic
yes sir
microorganism those microorganisms use organic compound as their carbon source they are heterotrophic.
yes sir yes definitely
So if water has heterotrophic, it means that there is a lot of organic compound is also there, which can increase the growth of microorganism. So,
yes sir
so coliform is an indicator microorganism. You can see this. You can see my slide, right?
Yes sir.
Coliform. What is indicator microorganism, by the way? Indicator microorganism. What is indicator microorganism? Anybody can tell me? Indicator.
इंडिकेटर माइक्रोऑर्गेनिज्म वो है जो हमें फीकल कंटामिनेशन जो है कितनी है वो उससे हमें पता चल सके या बताएं वो
Yeah, that's right.
तरह से
So that tell us the presence of that group of microorganisms indicated by the specific microorganisms or group of microorganisms. So Cardiacyte and Cryptopodium oocyte, these are protozoa, and this guy is responsible for pneumonia and viruses. And there are poliovirus and some other virus. Nowadays, virus is COVID-19 virus, huh? SARS-CoV-2 type of microorganism. Nowadays is very making problem in the world. Is not usually is not transmitted by water. It is transmitted through air. So the strategy is that we have to provide water free of pathogen. Not only this, we have to avoid production of disinfectant byproduct. So if you use some chemical, particularly chlorine, then different kind of byproduct are formed, including trihalomethanes, DHMs or haloacetic acid, and some other halogenetic organic compound. Ozone also has some disinfection byproduct potential. Some oxidation byproduct can be formed if we are using ozone or chlorine or any disinfectant, because all of the disinfectant are oxidant, and disinfectant residual present at the head disk. You use some disinfectant as it has some residual, but when user use this water, that residual concentration can cause health problem. So we have to avoid all of these disinfectant byproduct. Not only kill the microorganism, but also have to avoid this disinfectant byproduct. At the same time, we have to maintain residual concentration in disinfection distribution system, so that to maintain very good bacteriological quality of water means water reach to user without any pathogen. So we have to remove the microorganism or pathogens. We have to avoid disinfection byproduct, and we have to keep residual concentration. So as I told you, there are two kinds of disinfectant. One is a primary disinfectant and another is secondary disinfectant. In the beginning of this topic, and now you will tell me what is primary disinfectant. My question is, what is primary disinfectant?
सर प्राइमरी डिसइंफेक्शन आप पूछ रहे हैं ना?
Yeah, what is primary disinfectant? I mean, the chemical we use
it's a chemical. Sorry, it's a chemical that we use in primary treatment, primary disinfection. Inactivation of microorganisms. It's a chemical to activate the microorganisms.
And what is secondary disinfectant?
It's a disinfectant we use in the secondary treatment, in the secondary disinfection.
To keep residual concentration in distribution system. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for selection of a primary disinfectant, preceding treatment is important. In treatment before adding or having the disinfectant. For example, for upstream, before the disinfectant, if filtration is used, the UCP says ozone should not be used, or is not preferable if filtration is used, because the potential reproduction of ozone byproduct, ozone ozone can react with organic matter and degrade it into biodegradable organic matter. So biodegradable organic matter that promote the regrowth in distribution system. If total organic carbon concentration is greater than 2 milligram per liter, we are encouraged, or it is better to select the primary disinfectant that doesn't produce disinfection byproduct if total organic carbon is more than 2 milligram per liter. If bromide ion is present, ozone and peroxide with bromide ion can produce some acid. We call it hypobromous acid and bromide ion. So if bromide ion is more than 0.1 milligram per liter, the ozone is not recommended. Of course, primary disinfection, which we use for primary disinfection, should have ability to meet microbial inactivation requirement. In addition to this requirement, we have to see these things also. So there are a number of things we have to consider for selection of primary disinfectant. This disinfectant we use for main disinfection unit in the treatment plant. If raw water concentration is less than 1 microorganism per 100 ml, so we have to do 3 log removal for Cardia site and 4 log removal for viruses. And if the microorganism raw water concentration is in between 1 and less than 10, then Cardia site should be removed up to 4 removal and virus should be removed up to 5. And if microorganism are actually is more than 10, then we have to have 5 log removal for Cardia site and 6 log removal of viruses. So these are recommended overall disinfection as a function of raw water quality. In the recommended overall disinfection, it includes removal credit for treatment, because some of the microorganism, some of the removal will happen during treatment, and then some will happen in disinfection unit. So together, combine both of them, these numbers are recommended. Okay. So here I think this is more than 10. It's given in the table 13-5. For secondary disinfectant, when we have selected already the primary disinfectant, the concern are estimable organic carbon concentration, because we have already used primary disinfection, which primary disinfection might, because disinfection are all oxidant. So disinfectant, for example, ozone or even the chlorine, can have some degradation of total organic carbon and make biodegradable organic matter, which is actually can be assimilated in the body of microorganisms. We call, in terms of carbon, we call it assimilable organic carbon. So if high assimilable organic carbon if assimilable organic concentration is more than 0.1 milligram per liter after filtration, we consider it high assimilable organic carbon. The other concern is disinfection byproduct formation potential, particularly if you are using chlorine. So in distribution system, organic byproduct can be expected. So if we have organic concern carbon in water, if we are using chlorine, then it is possible that organic byproduct are formed, we call this possibility we can measure with disinfection byproduct formation potential. Another thing is important is the distribution system retention time. So if you have added secondary disinfection and then it is to user, how long it is. So if it is like say 10 hour, so maybe organic compound is there still. When time is so short, the disinfection byproduct might not be formed. But if it is too long, the disinfection byproduct formation is higher. So if the travel time is more than 48 hours, contact time is from one point to the user, if 48 time high more than 48 hours, then it is possible that disinfection byproduct, particularly trihalomethane, will form. So we try to see how long is the distribution time, and as shorter than 48 hours is better. In this table, this is a summary of disinfectant properties based on typical disinfection application for chlorine, ozone, chlorine dioxide, chloramine, permanganate, chloramine, ozone peroxide, and ultraviolet. So produce trihalomethane with total organic carbon. Chlorine will form, yes, but ozone will form sometime, and chlorine dioxide will not form trihalomethane. Permanganate will not form. Chloramines will form. Ozone will form sometime, and UV will not form. Produce oxidized organic product. Chlorine will sometime, but ozone will form. So we can, by seeing this, including the operator skills and applicable to large utilities, applicable to small utilities, you can have certain idea then what disinfectant has what kind of properties, whether it produce biological, biodegradable organic matter. Chlorine sometime, but ozone will form. Chlorine dioxide sometime, permanganate will not form, chloramine will not form, but ozone will form. And peroxide, combination of ozone and peroxide will form. Ultraviolet will not form. Turbidity impact, not much in chlorine, but ozone, it can be. Not for chlorine dioxide, not for permanganate, not for chloramine, but it is very high for ultraviolet. And meets some other requirement, cardiolumilia requirement, less than 2 log removal or more than 2 log removal, cryptosporidium and viruses less than or 2 more. We can have certain idea using this table. So you can use this table as a guideline for selection of disinfectant. And we have some consideration for selection of disinfectant for chlorine or sodium hypochlorite, ozone, chlorine dioxide, chloramine, UV. Whether it produces residual persistent, where chlorine is low, sodium hypochlorite is low, ozone is none, chlorine dioxide is moderate, chloramine is very low, UV does not have any. So ozone and UV don't have any residual persistence. Our other concentration is pH dependence. Of course, as we mentioned, chlorine has pH dependency because the HOCl has this kind of association. So of course it has pH dependency. But sodium hypochlorite also has same, but not ozone. Sometime chlorine dioxide, sometime chloramine, of course chloramine, but not for UV. And some other concern you can see here using this chart also. And you can follow for selection of new primary disinfectant for system that filter after filtration. For this kind of schematic or this kind of logic we can use. So start from here. We want to select new disinfection for water which is filtered. We see if it has high TOC, high total organic carbon or not. If it has high concentration, then we check also for whether it has high bromide or not. If it also has high bromide concentration, we go for chlorine and UV. If it does not have high bromide concentration, we can go for ozone, chlorine dioxide and UV. If the TOC is not high, then again we check for bromide. If bromide is present, then we use this kind of disinfectant, or we do some pilot study. If bromide is not present, then we can use ozone or UV, chlorine, chlorine dioxide, and interactive disinfectant means mixing of combination of this one, or some disinfectant which produce hydroxyl radical and others like ozone and UV or UV or H2O2. So with this flow chart or logical diagram, we can start from here and check TOC and check bromide, and then we decide which disinfectant is. For new secondary disinfectant, USCP has proposed this one in 1999. So we start from here and check for assimilable organic carbon. If there is no, then we go for disinfectant byproduct formation potential. If there is no disinfection byproduct formation potential, then we see the duration distribution time. If is not that high, then we go for this one. If it is high, then we go for this one. If disinfection byproduct is very high, then we have to do certain treatment to reduce disinfection byproduct potential formation, and then we go again to this logic. If initially the assimilable organic carbon was higher, then we have to do some biological treatment to remove this carbon, and then we enter into this logic. So we can follow this this flow diagram to select new secondary disinfectant. This one for primary and this one for secondary. And there is example in your textbook, which is 13-5. Select the primary and secondary disinfectants for the town of Stillwater, which uses the Novier River for its water supply. The design flow rate is 18,500 meter cube per day. The water is treated by conventional coagulation, sedimentation, and the filtration. Now we know this is filtration. The time for water to reach its most distant customer at the minimum demand flow rate is 31 hours. The Novier River water analysis is given below. The analysis is given below. So you can see here it has TOC. It doesn't have any bromide. It has turbidity. It has Giardia, sites, virus, and Cryptosporidium oxide. You know TOC, you know bromide concentration. You know the time of residence in distribution system, the maximum time of residence, and you know the preceding treatment, coagulation, sedimentation, and filtration. So using this information, you apply this flow diagram for primary treatment, and you apply this flow diagram for secondary treatment, and select the disinfectant. So this problem is 13-5. It is in your book. I want you to do it yourself at home and read the relevant section also. This is kind of your homework also, but you have to solve this problem. So 13-5 in Davis water treatment engineering, water and wastewater treatment engineering by Davis. There is a smaller one. So this one you have to solve by yourself. And also I mentioned to you earlier, you have to solve this problem too. These two problems in water treatment principle and design, the big book. So these two are your homework. Okay, now when we have to use a disinfectant, we have to use certain physical structure. We call it contact facility. This can be disinfection chambers or contact chambers. It can be pipeline. As I mentioned to you, the pipeline is very good disinfection contact chamber. You just add chemical here and water travel and finally reach to reaction will happen here. Or it can be longitudinal serpentine basin, something which I mentioned earlier, something longitudinal serpentine basin. Water goes like this and goes out just like a snake. Serpentine means snake. Or cross flow, cross baffled serpentine basin, some basin which is cross flow, something like this. So water goes here and then here, finally goes out. It is also like serpentine but cross flow. So longitudinal serpentine basin like this, or cross flow baffled serpentine basin like this, or pipeline. So these are contact chamber or disinfection chamber. Ideal reactor for chlorine, combined chlorine and chlorine dioxide are plug flow reactor where longitudinal dispersion is not present. As already I have mentioned that when water travel in the plug flow reactor, then there is the element of water. There is no mixing with this element of water with the other element of water. And water, they travel with time both as separate elements. So no longitudinal dispersion. So if microorganism is here, come into contact with disinfectant, and it will travel up to here until it go out from the system. So the residence time, the hydraulic residence time is actually contact time also. Unlike the completely mixed reactor, and it is very long anyway. So contact time is equal to the residence, hydraulic residence time, and it is maximum in plug flow reactor, so it's very good for disinfection. So we use for chlorine and combined chlorine and chlorine dioxide plug flow type of reactor. If we are using some reactor, for example like this, what we do sometimes, if we are using gas, we take portion of water was going in here, put the gas in here, and then reintroduce in back. We call it, this stream is a slip stream. Slip stream is a portion of processed water. We take it and put the gases, chlorine dioxide or chlorine, and inject back in the main stream. And then reaction here occurs here, means contact time, the concentration we can measure here, and time of contact here, so we can have CT time. Pipeline, as I mentioned to you, is an ideal reactor, and pipeline means straight pipeline, not bending and some restrictions, but straight pipeline without bend. So, for example, if contact time is 30 minutes from here to here is 30 minutes, the flow is 0.044 meter cube per second with velocity of greater than 0.6 meter per second. A pipeline is 1 kilometer is long is required for disinfection. So you can have usually be 1 kilometer for a small city or some big city is not that big thing. I mean, easily available. But not everything is ideally plug flow. Some mixing, some dispersion occurs within the reactor. We have to consider dispersion number, which provide an estimate of the performance of the reactor. So this dispersion number can provide the efficiency of the performance of the reactor, because this dispersion number has diameter of pipe, this diameter of pipe, and the length of pipe, both, and also friction factor, Darcy-Weisbach friction factor F. So considering diameter, length, and friction factor, we can calculate dispersion number, and with this dispersion number, we can estimate the performance of the reactor. Means of this pipeline, of course. So goal is to have a dispersion number is about 0.01. 0.01 is good number to have good disinfection. Lower dispersion number, lower than this, doesn't increase any efficiency in disinfection. Or higher than this, if you have number higher than this, even 0.05, the kill efficiency drop quickly. So this number is higher than this number, lower this number is not very good. Just this number is considered, I mean, it's good. This is our goal. So if we know the length, we know the diameter, and we know the friction factor, Darcy-Weisbach friction factor, we can calculate dispersion number. Let's solve problem number 10-30, dispersion in pipeline. It is the big book, water treatment design, example 13-10. A treatment plant with a capacity of 25,000 meters per day is planning to use 1 kilometer treated water pipeline as a chlorine contactor. Determine the diameter of the pipeline needed for hydraulic residence time of 30 minutes and the resulting dispersion number of the flow in the pipeline. We have to determine using a figure 13-7. I will show you later. Determine whether dispersion will have a significant impact on achieving 4 log removal of inactivation within this pipe. The Darcy-Weisbach friction factor is 0.018. This F is given. Okay, what is given here is Q is given, and then the length of pipe is given, and then hydraulic residence time is given 30 minutes. So what we have to calculate, the diameter of pipe and the dispersion number, and we have to estimate whether this dispersion number, if we have to achieve 4 log removal, it has any impact or not on disinfection. So the flow is given and hydraulic residence time is given. So you can calculate easily the volume. The volume is given, then because the length is given, so you can calculate the diameter easily. So we do this. So for diameter calculation, we can use the residence time. Residence time is V over Q, and V is area multiplied by length divided by Q, and area is pi by 4D square. So we have this here D, we have length, we have Q, we can calculate D. So D can be calculated putting all things in here and also converting the minutes into days. We can calculate the diameter 0.181 meter. Now the D is known. You can put in here We already know the length. We already know the friction factor. We can calculate the disinfection or dispersion number, which is 0.000104. So now we have to assess whether this dispersion will have significant impact on achieving 4 log removal of inactivation in the pipeline or not. So we go to the figure, which is figure 13-7 in the book, or one of the vertex textbook here. So this book is this figure is given. This is actual relationship with Tmax dispersion number with the log removal code. So it's allowable dispersion for contactor versus inactivation goal. At Dmax performance is short by goal by 5%. There is a 5% deviation. So in our case, we need, our goal is 4 log removal. 4 log removal, we just go here and then see what should be the disinfection factor. This is about 0.006. The 0.006 dispersion maximum is very much low, higher than 0.00014104, which we calculated here. It means that we need this much dispersion to achieve 4 log removal, and this number is very higher. So this dispersion will not have any significant impact to achieve 4 log removal. This is the answer. But you know, when we will select, you know, our diameter is 0.81, but in real case we have to work with the standard size diameter pipe, so it will be more than this one, the standard size diameter. We cannot have exactly the 0.81. In practical application we will have something different. So maybe if we use actual inside diameter pipeline, we can calculate some different residence time, and the disinfection will be better. Any question until now? I stop here and I want you participant to discuss. Any question until now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Why not? Should have. Am I going very? Am I teaching very well, or you don't understand anything? I think it is not. Neither is both cases are not true. So I am not teaching very well. Also, you are not understanding everything. So you must have some question. I want to stop here actually. So I want to stop here. You can see this slide, right?
Excuse me, sir.
Can you see this slide?
Yes, sir, I can see. Sir, I wanted to know in the problem that 1440, sir, dia, from where that you took that dia?
This one?
Sir, yes, sir.
This one this one is, you know, 4 is here, and 25,000 meter cube per day is Q. Okay, and tau, this is residence time, which is 30 minutes, and pi is pi. Pi is
Yes,
pi.
sir.
And L is 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer is 1,000 meter. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you see here, this is meter cube per day, and here this is minutes. So you have to convert minutes into day. So this is conversion of 1440 minutes in 1 day. So it's converted these minutes into day actually.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else? So your homework is Of course, you have to read all of the relevant section in, especially the kinetics, which I discussed earlier. Higgs-Watson law, and you have to see when we integrate this expression n naught to n is equal to minus k0 to t, then we have to reach this expression n over n naught is equal to kt. So please do this at home also. I forgot this thing should, this limit should come first. I think the this a to b dx over x is equal to as far as I remember, but you do yourself, okay, and reach to this expression. Okay, are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you do this integration at home and reach to this expression. Okay, this is one thing. And another thing is you have to read these models which I mentioned to you, Renneker Marinis model, Collins Select model, and solve this two examples at home. These solve examples, just go through and understand. And then you have to solve the problem number 30, example 13-5. This is maybe 10-5 in your book. Maybe this is Davis. Okay. Small book. Okay. These contact facilities which I was talking, particularly longitudinal serpentine basins, they are like this, shown here in this figure, these two figures. Water participant, and I mute all because some vegetable seller is selling something. So you see the what this figure, water is traveling. When water turn, we want this reactor to act as ideal plug flow reactor. The water turn, mixing will occur here. So we don't want mixing occur here. Mixing will occur here if water turn like this without and here. And we do not want mixing. We want water goes as if the reactor is a plug flow. Like this, like this, like this, like this, and they go. But if there is some narrow turn, water will mix. So to avoid this mixing, they provide sometimes, the designer provides sometimes some structure, semicircular turning vanes. This is semicircular turning vanes which help water to just go without much mixing. Or they provide turning vanes, water goes through without much mixing. Or they provide hammerhead, water goes and turn without much mixing. Or sometimes they use some fillet, the water will have less mixing. So this kind of structure can be provided, or some of them, or mixed combination of them, depending on your choice and cost of construction. This purpose is that to avoid mixing. Another way of avoiding mixing during turning is to provide diffuser wall. Diffuser wall is the inlet, diffuser wall when it turns, diffuser wall at the beginning of each pass. here and here and here. So purpose is that water just goes like in elements like this, and do not mix. The longitudinal mixing is avoided. Yes, what they try to attempt to avoid. This is there are some they avoid reverse flow because water can flow reversely, flow separation, and sometimes we can have dead spot here. To avoid dead spot, this structure are there. There are some recommended length to width ratio, at least 40:1. This is width of the flow path to the length of the flow path. Means that width, this is width here and here and here, and flow path length is this length plus this length plus this length plus this length plus this length. We combine together. So width to length ratio, length to width ratio is 40:1 at least. And also they provide a sharp crusted wear at the end of the chamber. So the two wide mixing. And height of channel to width of channel ratio, usually 1:3. So with this guidelines, and also with the concentration and time, and I will show you later the factor T10, ratio of T10 over hydraulic residence time can give us idea how to have dimensions of the reactor, because no reactor provide a plug flow regime. So in actually the contact time is less than ideal. So USEPA use requirement, they call it T10. T10 is a time requirement, is a CT value that is calculated with the time that 90% of the water will exposed in the disinfection chamber. This is the time, the CT value, the concentration time value. It can be calculated using time. At that time, the 90% of the water will be exposed in the disinfection chamber, and we can see this using tracer studies. So for example, if we have certain chamber like this, so we can put some tracer here. It can be color, it can be some other chemical to which we can measure easily, and we see how it is going here and here and here. And 90%, the time the 90% of water will be exposed in this disinfection chamber, we call it this T time. Okay, I stop here with the introduction of T time and the ratio between T and residence time, and we will use this T time for design of reactor in our next class, and then we will complete this chapter with ozonation. So I stop here, and I stop also recording. If I can record.